Hello, it's Earth Lovers Oracle with Stella here. Hope you're all doing well. We're leading up to the third eclipse that we've had in the last month, so it's been quite kind of volcanic and sparky, which is borne out by sort of what's happening in the world and maybe in your own personal lives. So after this, it's going to settle down slightly. So the eclipse, it's called a penumbral eclipse, which is not such a big eclipse. It's just a sort of shadowing cast over the moon rather than something that's total or very, very powerful. And it in some countries it'll start on the 4th of July. And if we take the Northern Hemisphere for an example, it'll start at 9:44 Pacific time, and Eastern time in America it will be 12:44 on the 5th. That's just after midnight, and then in London it will be at 5:44 in the morning, and we also have the full moon in Capricorn, and I'm going to particularly talk about the energies of Capricorn because although we've got five planets that are actually going backwards, or maybe even six planets going backwards, I just want to concentrate on this energy because this is what's going to go over us for the next few days, and obviously the influence is far longer. Just holding up the symbol of Capricorn. It's an earth sign, which a lot of you might know, and it's a cardinal sign, which means it's very action orientated and result orientated. Capricorns are very much the organizers of the earth, and but if you look at the symbol, we have a goat, but also the goat has a mermaid's tail, and this goes back to Mesopotamian times, where they acknowledge that although the goat is very much a creature of the earth with its feet, and that it can go over any kind of precipice and still manage to stay there no matter how high. But the mermaid's tail is a nod to the intuitive side of Capricorn, and they have this kind of psychic-y, intuitive vibe as well as being very practical. And the mermaid's tail is going into the element of water, and water, picks up information. So I think that's very good symbolism here. And sort of on this card, I'm using Yasmin Boland's Moonology cards for the first two. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Well, Capricorn is all about really enduring certain struggles in order to become successful, and you may find that you've been tested through this time. It's like going up a thorny path where one really has no choice whether except for to step up to the plate. It's a time for realism. And again, always the planets, there's a saying, an old saying, as above, so below. What actually is happening in the sky is always played out on the earth, which is, it mirrors it, which is very interesting. So we have the full moon in Capricorn, and then we have full moon eclipses. The conclusions are within reach. It could be a certain subject in your own life, but it would have a very Capricornian theme, and Capricorn is about results, cycles, and going back to the thing of feeling that one is tested. It could be that you've reached a point of no return with something that you feel you've put in a lot of effort, or it could be something where you think, yeah, this actually is really going to work, and that could stem from something that you've hoped for at the start of the new moon, or something that's actually been going on for a long, long time. Many moons have passed because Saturn is quite often to do with Chronos and Father Time, and the idea of things of longevity. If things are going to last, that they take a little time to get going. So I just want to talk about the planets that are in Capricorn at the moment. Saturn had gone forward into Aquarius for a time, but it's now in its retrograde cycle, so it's going further backward into Capricorn. It's just at the last degree, so it's retracing its steps, and I think this may well coincide. Being back in its natural sign, it's more at home. So on a personal level for you, you may feel that you are being tested again, or make sure that you've reached a conclusion or a point, just to say, you know, have I done with this matter. So there may be a feel about that for you. And I think on a collective level, you know, to do with the world, it may be that there is a feeling of slightly more authority returning. It may be temporarily, but I think it's probably needed, because very much with everything that's been going on in the world, it has been kind of out of control. So I think that could be quite a blessing. We also have the planet Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn. I think it's at 24 degrees, and Pluto rules Scorpio naturally, and in symbology and mythology is the ruler of the underworld. And the symbology there is that Pluto brings up to the surface that which is hidden. And at the moment there is quite a lot of revelations going on, and really outworn behaviours that are being brought up to the surface, that, you know, possibly have been going on for hundreds of years. They're sort of like societies and things, but these are gradually coming to the surface. And what Pluto does, he brings things up to be healed, brings things to the light to be healed. And I've got these coloured bottles, which I love, and I'm just thinking of what is in the dark is not seen, but often it's felt. And then when something comes to the light, you know, there is the clarity on what actually has been going on, what is happening. So I think, you know, Pluto eradicates things when he brings them up. Nothing actually remains the same. So it is well overdue what is happening. And you may also find that in your life there it could even be a habit where you recognize or own that you are doing something that hinders you. It could be, you know, even something gentle, but it nevertheless, it is something, sometimes by being aware of something and thinking, well, okay, I'm going to address this in a different way, that helps you. So I think Pluto is all very fascinating. And also I'm drawn back to the symbol of Capricorn, and the goat with the horns, and quite often that is can be a symbol of ritual, you know, things going way back, that might have outlived their purpose by now, whereas I think sort of now we're more into gentle rituals of you know, like it's like a moon ritual, or making an affirmation, or even it's like a health ritual one might go through, or keep fit ritual. So it's pretty interesting what's happening. And the other planet, which is actually forming a conjunction, meaning it's very close to the planet Pluto, is Jupiter. And Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. And being in Capricorn, it will tend to inflate whatever it's near. So Pluto is bringing things up. So with Jupiter with it's really, you know, bringing really powerful and expanding on that, which I think is very, very interesting. And often on another level, what the combination of that can do, it's rather like mining for things. And it can be that sometimes, that, you know, if we've worked really hard, that we find that we get a lot of rewards during this phase. It can be quite wealth orientated or riches orientated, but mainly the riches are to do with knowledge and things like that. But for some people it can be that they that they've mined all their efforts, and literally that life rewards them, but definitely a lot of effort would have had to have gone in before that. So it's interesting that Jupiter and Pluto forming the third conjunction, it's giving you another chance to expand on something, and with Saturn, with a lesson. I think it all kind of mixed together. There's a practical message here which you might like to take on a personal level, but basically this all coincides with the fact that, at the moment the planet is going through a lot of change, and we can think, oh well, it's only if I think it's going to happen that I have to belong to that camp. But we can see for our own eyes that things are shifting, and often getting in quite a lot of disarray, but somehow they're going to have to shed, and eventually we are going to regroup in a more harmonious way for everyone concerned. But it is obviously quite a breathtaking time. So I'm then going to use, these are cards by, they're called Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell, and I think they're sort of beautifully illustrated. And the first card that I got, which I think is really relevant, is called The Crumbling. What are you clinging on to? And that links into what I've just been talking about destructurizing going on. Old outworn patterns and things that have absolutely outworn their sell-by date. So again, on a personal level, there may be just something that you can relate to here, and think, well, okay, maybe. So with this kind of thing, try not to go into a fear mode. It's more like sort of surrendering, having faith in whatever you believe in, and surrendering to that things actually will work out, because they will. But it's the idea of not hanging on to things so tightly, which I think one can't do in this climate. It's almost impossible. So then we've got another beautiful card, and this one is called The Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you, which I think is lovely and comforting. Because, going through quite a lot of change, sometimes you think, well, I've depended on that, and, things aren't the way they were, and obviously there will be things around you, and hopefully loved ones and people that you can rely on, and things that you treasure. But, when the general climate is not easy, it's difficult, and it's lovely to think that we have ancestors around us, or keepers that are actually looking over us. So I'm just going to read you what Rebecca Campbell wrote in her book, because I think this is beautiful. Keepers of the Earth, you are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. You are supported. You do not stand alone. You have a team of helpers both in this world and of the earth, who are here to help you every step of the way. Call upon them for assistance. They are here to help you. The keepers of the earth acknowledge the work you have done already, and the work that you are going through. And so they're acknowledging. So it doesn't matter what line of work you're in, or if you've been doing things to make life better, then it's kudos to you. So it's about devoting one's life to protecting the earth in some way, and you don't have to be an environmentalist. It can be anything. It could be looking after people, looking after children, working in a hospital, or just caring for your family. It's time to increase your capacity to receive support. That means you getting things in the physical realm. This can come in the form of financial abundance, acts of service from strangers, or people flocking to help you in your work. The only thing that's stopping you right now is your capacity to receive support. You deserve to be rewarded for the work that you are doing. You do not need to go it alone. Call upon the keepers of the earth to help you in your mission. Open your heart and your mind to receiving more than you ever thought possible. What kind of support do you need? Call it in right away. So I think that's rather beautiful. Saying that there are higher powers here. At the moment, with the Capricorn, there's a lot of earth elements, so that's about the reality here, and water. We're in the sign of Cancer. It's quite an emotional time at the moment where people have felt more. Although we have been under lockdown and it's releasing, but at the moment. I've spoken to quite a few people who feel sensitive and want to kind of conserve themselves. So I think, over this weekend or even the next week, if you feel called to do so, just look after yourselves if you can as well, because that will strengthen you. And then there is the last card that I drew, which I love. It's very optimistic. It just says yes. Just say yes. So if there's something new that in your mind's eye that you want to try, or something that in this period of, it's kind of an introspective period for the future that you want to try, just say yes, because that very word actually opens up your heart, and it does open up all kinds of possibilities. So, I think there's quite an optimistic climate around. It just shows that, we are going through stuff, but we're not going through it alone. And, do call on your ancestors for help. Just do that, go out into nature if you can commune with nature, if that's how you get your strength. Meditate if you get value from that, or even for some people it's going running, that they sort of feel at one with life. So anyway, so the main portion of the eclipse is on the 5th of July, and I hope for you that it does bring rewards and hopefully some surprises. All right, take care. I'll see you soon.